Well guys, it's hard to believe that this is the 11th generation Civic. Yes, that's true. They've been making them since 1973, and that's, by the way, what I and Civic have in common. We're both were born in 1973, so it is just as old as I am, and over the years it's gotten wider as I did. And that's about all the similarities that I do have with the Civic. I'm here at Henrik Honda in Bradenton, Florida, because they allowed me to film this vehicle, and this is a sport model. So today I'm going to take you on the tour of this car. We're going to check out the exterior, interior, pop the hood, see what powers up this thing, and finally I'm going to take you for a spin in it. By the way, if this is the first time we meet, my name is Matt Samulski. I'm Matt the Car Guy. On this channel I do car reviews. Well, please check out the rest of my channel, see if you like anything, consider subscribing, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and now that I'm done with the auto advertising, hopefully it worked, let's get back to the video. Well, so let's talk about the Civic a little bit. Now, Honda's been making them since 1973, and actually that's what me and Honda Civic have in common. We were both born in 1973, and over the years we've gotten bigger, we've gotten wider, and that's about where all the similarities between me and the Civic end. Now, all jokes aside, this is probably one of my favorite generations of Civics so far. Now, I've worked for Honda dealerships from 1998 till about 2015, so I've seen a lot of generations come and go, and I've always been a big fan of a Honda Civic, not because it's anything, you know, crazy, special, performance, but it's a very reliable, very inexpensive, comparing to the competition of course, compact sedan. And now they've made it even bigger. This is probably bigger than like a 1990s Accord for sure. It's bigger than 1990s Accord, and it looks more like the Accord than the Civic. Now the previous generations, the 10th generations, was a little bit rough around the edges, if you will, so it wasn't my favorite one. It was still very popular, and if you liked it, great. There was nothing wrong with the car, just not my favorite styling. Now they polished this one out, they smooth it out, they make it cleaner, they make it a little bit more Accord-like looking, which is nothing wrong with that. So if you take a look at this front end right here, this is where a little bit of a difference is. Now the Accord also has this hood extension, like if you will, in the front, but this part right here is usually chrome. Now they made this on the Civic the same color as the rest of the car, which at one point it was only reserved for vehicles like hybrids or electric vehicles. Now it's going mainstream right here. Honda logo, this is the matte black portion of the design right here, which actually I like it better than having it that piano black or that shiny black. Now in my opinion it could have used a little bit more chrome in it to kind of have a few accents, but that's just me. Now all of Civics, now mind it that this is the sport model, so this is the second from the bottom, and now all the Civics come equipped with the LED lights, and that's super important because I have an old generation car that I use for work, and that has the incandescent light, and I can't tell you how huge of a difference it is to have a nicely illuminated road ahead of you, especially if you drive at night a lot, and these lights certainly do that. Now they do have the LED light strips right here as far as the daytime running lights, and then there is a space for the fog lights right at the bottom in here. Nothing really too crazy about the design of the front. Nice, polished, simple design. Let's check out one of the two engines offered in the Civic lineup on this one. Alright guys, so let's check this out. Before we get to the engine, let's take a look at the way that this hood is positioned right now. I have it propped in one of the two holes that this prop stick goes to. This is for service, right? So this makes it stand up taller, and this one right here is if you just want to open the hood, check it out, maybe add a little bit of the brake fluid or windshield washer fluid, etc. So let's take a look at this engine. This is a bigger and less powerful one, and this is a common theme right now. Now this is a 2-liter engine, 158 horsepower, made it to a CVT transmission. So on paper, I mean, it looks just like the old Civic. Okay, and this engine is available on the regular LX and the sport version in here. Now if you opt in for an EX or a touring version, they are available with the 1.5 liter, which is a smaller but turbocharged engine producing 180 horsepower. Unfortunately, still made it to an CVT transmission. So as far as excitement of the drive, I can't predict that it's going to be that, but we're going to check it out at the end of this video. Alright guys, so as you can see, Honda continues with this polished modern look of this vehicle. It certainly does look a little bit like an Accord, if you will, but take a look at the shape of this vehicle. It looks a little bit more like a fastback look. It is a sedan, but it does have a very short hood, and it almost looks like the entire portion opens up. Well, does it? Well, we're gonna check it out in just a little bit. But this is also a sport model, which is a step up from the LX model, and it does have the upgraded 18-inch wheels, part of the sport package. Also part of the sport package, you have those black shiny caps on the mirrors, and it is equipped with the keyless entry system, where, you know, I have the key in here. As long as you have a key on you, it can lock and unlock the vehicle basically with just either sticking your hand inside of the door handle or touching the door handle right here. What's also interesting on the side in here, you see this little triangle window, and that's basically to reduce the blind spots, to maximize the viewing area from the inside of the car, and we're going to check that out once we're on the interior. And the last part that I want to mention while I'm on the exterior off here is the auto lock feature. So when you have the key with you and you walk away from the vehicle will lock itself if you set it up like this. Well guys, looking at the back of it, again, nice, sleek, polished look. Now it does have a combination of the incandescent and LED lights in the back. Now this part is LED, and as you can see, the turn signals are blinking. Those are incandescent, as well as the reverse lights are. Civic on one side, this is the new Civic lettering on it. Sport on the other side, Honda logo in the middle. You have some reflector lights, and then you do have one exhaust on one side. Now, does the whole thing opens up? Let's check it out. Can do it two different ways, actually three. One from the interior, one here, and then you can use your key to remotely open the trunk. It's a nice feature, especially for an entry level sedan. And let's check out how much room it has. All right, so even though you can see that there's a little bit of accessories in here, like the floor mats and the all-season mat, well, check out right underneath here, you have your spare tire and the spare tire toolkit, as well as this trunk is huge for a Civic. It's unbelievable. I kid you not, it's probably twice the size of what the 90s Civic would have. Now the seats don't split. It's a one seat that folds down, and you can fold them down using this lever right here, or at least unlock them. So you pull it, unlocks the seat, and then you actually have to pull it from the inside to unlock it. But tons of room in here. I'm very surprised with this one. Well guys, I gotta tell you, I'm inside of this vehicle, and I have the front seat, believe it or not, set up to the way that I normally would drive a vehicle. I'm 6 feet tall, and I can't believe that I have another 2 inches before I would hit it. That's more than on several different small SUVs even that I checked out on it. The interior is pretty simple, but it's very comfortable as far as even the base model on the Civic. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of that in front. But as far as the roominess, 2 adults can really fit comfortably. Third one will fit in if they have to, but it's not going to be the most comfortable ride. But not a lot of cars have tons of room, especially in this segment, tons of room for a third person in the middle. So let's see where the magic happens. I guess let's open and close the door first of all. Nice solid thump, as in a Civic should be. I'm not sure, I'll give you a close-up on here. I'm not sure if you can see that sparkle in the paint. That's the platinum white. That's the premium color that you pay basically $395 for. As you could hear, I was able to lock and unlock the door by just sticking my hand in there. So the interior of it, okay, this is one of the base models, so it's not going to be anything crazy, but it's nice and functional. As you can see, it's fabric here, hard plastic in here, and then you have the window controls, you have the mirror controls on here. As far as the seats, now in the sport models you don't have the power seats. Now those are manpower, okay, so you can adjust the seats manually in here, but on the higher trims like the EX and Tourings you will get the power seat. Now let's jump inside and see the rest of this interior. Well, in addition to the exterior, like I said, this vehicle is completely redesigned, so it's also got a brand new interior. And let's check this out really quick, and let's take a look at some of the features on it. Well, first of all, what jumps at you, at least at me, is this honeycomb trim right in here. And I guess it's going to be a love it and hate it relationship, love or hate relationship with it. I personally don't mind it at all. I think it looks pretty cool. It looks a little bit retro. I'm not sure if it fits with the theme of this vehicle, but okay, it's there and it's functional. As far as the steering wheel, I have a Honda. I love Honda steering wheels. They're very nice, very comfortable. No exception with this one. I mean, leather wrapped steering wheel, multifunction, so you can control majority of the stuff inside of the vehicle on the screen. Now this portion right here controls basically the media, and this portion right here controls the cruise control. Also, you have some portions of control of what's going on the screen. I guess so. Let's check out this fully digital instrument cluster. Well, first of all, if you look at it, it's on the left hand side it says customized display, so there's a menu that you can actually go through and see warnings, range and fuel, speed and time, driver's attention, seat belts, etc., maintenance. So there's a bunch of settings that you can change on here. Now, as a general rule, on the left hand side you have a tachometer, right hand side speedometer. You have also speedometer displayed in digital. You see that 0 miles per hour. Then you have your regular odometer, you have a gas gauge, and then you have the gear indicator as well as temperature. Now it says normal right above the odometer, and that means that it does have more than one driving mode. So you can see sport, it changes to sport. What does it change? It does have a couple red accents on the dashboard when you change it to sport, and then you can change it to econ mode. So this is the more fuel efficient mode out of them all. Now, speaking about fuel efficiency, because that's important, right now it is 30 and 37 miles per gallon on the Civic, so still 33 combined. That's pretty good for a vehicle that's a non-hybrid. Okay, so this is it. This is the display right here, and let's move on to the display right here in the middle. So as you can see, I have a radio on. Okay, and that's basically all that you have here without the phone connected. You have a menu which you can change the sound settings, Bluetooth settings, clock settings, smartphone, display adjustment, touch panel sensitivity. It is a touchscreen, and you can do factory data reset. So one thing that I want to point out is it does have a Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. However, I wasn't able to connect my phone, and maybe because I was thinking it's a wireless Android Auto, which I know is available on the Touring model, but maybe this one doesn't have it. But this is the smaller display. This is the 8-inch display versus the 9-inch display that you get on the Touring model. And then you have this honeycomb trim. Right at the bottom in here, you do have your automatic climate control, which is a nice feature in here. 3 knobs, that's all you need to have for the climate control. Push on and off. For fan, you can adjust the fan speeds in here, adjust different modes, and adjust the temperature. That's all you really need. Now at the bottom of here, you have some shortcuts. You have the front windshield defogger, front windshield defogger, rear window defroster, AC, and the air recirculating button. And then you have your USB and the power outlet in here. On the higher trims you will get the wireless charging, which this one is not equipped with. Now gear shifter, regular gear shifter right here, that's what you change your driving modes. This is where you can turn off this engine auto on and off. And then you have the electronic parking brake, as well as you have the brake hold right here. And then you have two cup holders, decent sized cup holders. And let's take a quick glance in the interior, and I want to point out this fabric right here. I really like it. There was a time, and I forgot which year, but I believe it might have been like a 2003, 2004 Civics, where the fabric was basically coming apart as soon as you touched it. There were holes being made. Now this one looks very, very sturdy, so hopefully it is. And it does have a little bit of what looks like either leather or vinyl on the side, so it's plus a little bit of a design in here on the seats itself. In the middle here you have storage compartment, which is very nice, very deep, although it doesn't have any extra power outlets in here, which I think it could use one, but not a bad design. I actually like the design of the Civic. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a review, separate review of a Touring, because I think that's gonna add quite a few features on it that this one doesn't have. But in the meantime, you know what? Let's take it for a spin. Okay, so the plan is to take it for a spin, so that's what we're gonna do. But before we get to it, let's talk about a couple of things that I didn't mention while going over the instrument cluster, and I just noticed that, and I think it's pretty important. So first of all, you have like the rear occupant rear occupant monitor right now. So you can see that right now it says that somebody is sitting in the front seat, but it doesn't have their seat belt latched, and that's true, I don't. So we're gonna eliminate that issue right now. It also does say that there's nobody in the back seat, that there's no occupants detected in the back seat, which is also pretty cool. And the third thing that I didn't talk about, and I should probably mention that, is the new design of the key. Look how small it is, and the dealership chose to have keys like this, which is fine. They're not exposed to elements, but the key is much smaller than the previous generation one. It's lock on lock. It does have standard on this model a remote start, which is pretty cool, that you have on the key fob, and it does have the trunk opener as well as the panic button. So those are the buttons on the key itself. Well, all right, let's check out the rear view camera right there. And it's a basic rear view camera, I gotta tell you. I mean, I was kind of maybe hoping, oh, here, this is like the quality improved as I peeled off that film that's on that screen right there. So it's a decent size well, the screen is not decent size because, as you can see, it just fills in the middle of it, but it's got three different angles for the camera. One straight down, this is the narrow angle, and this is the wide angle camera, so you can see three different aspects of it. And before we take it for a spin, so Honda made it really simple. There's 4 different models that are available, and there's 2 different engine options. So starting with the LX, it's the base model. It's equipped with the 2.0 liter engine, the 158 horsepower, the one that we have here, and it's 21.7. The Sport starts at 23.1 with destination charge, and the premium color on this one of $395. It's just under $25,000 MSRP on this. Now the EX model, that's where the step up is to the smaller but more powerful engine, and 180 horsepower, and that one starts at 24.7. And then the Touring, which is the most equipped one, is 28.3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here one day and I'm going to do a review of a Touring as well, just so you have a little bit of a comparison between the basic model and the smaller engine, or the bigger engine's less powerful, and the more powerful and more equipped Touring. So let's take a quick look. I know Honda's always been really good as far as their turning diameters. I was surprised many times, and see how close or how tight this one is. I don't have my fancy or not fancy painted lines in here, but I can kind of gauge it that this one is about 4 parking spaces that it takes to turn around. So let's see, there's 4 cars parked right here. Let's see if we're gonna make it, because they seem like they're parked almost in parking spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, well, let's take this and we'll take it on the road. We'll see a little bit of an acceleration, and we'll see how this CVT transmission is. I gotta tell you, I'm not expecting a whole lot, because A, it's not a performance car, it's not meant to be, but it is one of the most popular compact sedans, one of the most popular cars that are available on the market right now. So Civic's always been synonymous with quality, with reliability, and that's what it is. It's not meant to be a super performance vehicle, but it should be a pretty fun to drive car. And as always, at this time we have some traffic situation in here, so I'm not sure how much of that acceleration I'm going to be able to check out, but we're going to do our best to see how quickly this can accelerate. And it accelerated from 0 to 2 in about 1 second, so that's pretty good. But here's a couple things to point out, that this is the base model, this is the base engine. The fun Civics are the Civic Si and the Civic Type R. Now the Civic Si is not available for this model year, but hopefully it's going to come in and it's going to be available for this generation Civic. It's also the Civic Type R, the 300 horsepower Civic, which is an absolute beast as far as the performance. And if that's going to come out with the Civic SR, that's going to be awesome. So another thing to point out, that there is sedan, which is the one that we're sitting right now, that's available, and that's available in 2 different engine options and only automatic transmission. Now the hatchback is coming soon, and that's going to be available with manual transmission as well. So that's supposedly coming very, very soon, and I can't wait really to review that, because Honda's always been considered a hot hatch. Now I've seen the pictures of it, and it's not a very small vehicle. It's actually a pretty nice size Civic, if you will. Now we're sitting at the light, so great. I'm going to put it in the sport mode. Okay, and don't know if it's going to change anything, but I'm going to try to accelerate and see how quickly this car picks up, and if it's got enough pickup to merge in and out of traffic when you need it. And there we go. Now this is not a car that's going to push you hard in your seat, but it's definitely respectful. And this is the smaller one. I mean, I don't know what the 0 to 60 is. I would probably imagine somewhere in the 9 seconds. So I mean, it's a good family cruiser, but it's definitely not a super performance vehicle that you're gonna race from light to light, but decent acceleration nevertheless. Okay, turning radius. Once again, we're going to be able to check this out right in here. Okay, and that's pretty cool. I gotta tell you, I love the way that the steering wheel feels. It's not too light and it's not too heavy as far as the power steering. It's perfect. Okay, and it's one of those cars too, when you get in and you don't have to take much adjustment at all as far as where everything is, what is what. It's really, everything is where they're supposed to be, and it's very easy to reach, it's very easy to grab. I'm impressed with this Civic, I really am. I think it's a great vehicle, and I hope they're going to sell tons of it, as they always do. Now, Guys, this will conclude our review and test drive of this brand new 2022 Civic. So thank you very much for watching. Once more time, if you like videos like this, consider subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. It helps me bring more content to you, just like this one right here. And until next time, I will see you in my next video. Cheers.